Welcome to A Good Gut Live. We are excited for this topic. We are talking about convenience foods for your good gut. So, if you're like us, a real family, and you do convenience foods, and now there's different categories of people in this, right? So, you're doing convenience foods, and maybe you're not reading the labels, you're not reading ingredients, you don't really know what those convenience foods are. I grew up like that. I ate the Kraft mac and cheese. I ate the Pop Tarts. I ate the Fruity Pebbles. I was also really sick as a child. I had not arthritis. I had joint pain. Probably was gonna be arthritis. Joint pain, chronically ill, morbidly obese
Allergies.
as a child, and tons of allergies. So I grew up eating these convenience foods, but we're here to give you our good gut convenience foods, right? Because you're most
Mhm.
likely a real family or a real person who works or goes to school and has kids, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not always the case, especially in the plant-based integrative health world, where it's like, I'm going to cook from scratch every single day. I'm going to go out and grow my own wheat and mill it and make my own bread and triple ferment it and bake for all my family, right? So, again, that's a very extreme example, but we're here to say you can have a healthy combination of, yes, cooking, which is great, but also convenient foods. And
And I
you,
love this. I love that people in our good gut gang, our tribe, are usually on the same wavelength as we are. If you guys follow Dr. B, Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, he actually posted about this just yesterday. So
really,
super
we did not
timely.
plan
Yeah,
that.
we didn't plan it. But he basically distinguished between processed foods, because
Mm,
literally, if somebody washes a food for you, they peel a food for you, that's considered a processed food, right?
right,
It's not a whole food any longer.
right.
So Dr. B distinguished between processed foods and ultra processed foods.
Yes.
So at the start of this conversation, we want to distinguish that there's a lot of convenient food that someone has processed for you. For instance, frozen vegetables have been washed for you, they've been
Hmm.
cut for you, they've been frozen for you. So now they're easier to digest because that ice breaks apart the fiber, making it easier to digest.
Yep.
But these are not laden with a bunch of sauce and added and refined sugars or any other ingredients that would
Artificial
irritate your good
colors
gut.
or, right.
So let's distinguish that first and foremost. Ultra processed foods versus processed foods. And we embrace the processed foods, right? We embrace when someone has done part of that process for us, because I can super relate to finishing a long work day and I'm like, I will put anything that has been done for me. I will put any food that has been cut, washed, whatever, in my mouth
Hmm.
over something, even if it's as quick as washing an apple. Sometimes after a long day, and let me know if you guys go through this too. It's like I don't even want to put in that effort. I don't want to wash the apple. So if somebody else has cut it for me, washed it for me, done part of that process for me,
Yeah.
I love it. And not to mention, like, Layla and I, for example, we prefer frozen blueberries. I
Yeah.
don't really appreciate when I'm eating fresh blueberries and one of them is moldy and it tastes gross. So Layla and I actually prefer to buy frozen blueberries in our house. That's considered a processed food.
Hmm.
Somebody's washed it for you, packaged it for you, over buying fresh blueberries sometimes. So we want to talk today about what are some of these processed foods or convenient foods that you can add to your good gut, which ones we're looking for as two integrative registered dietitians who
Yep.
focus on the gut and the environment, and how you can use these
And even how you can
today.
enhance them. It doesn't have to be all
Mhm.
or nothing. And then on that note, I want to say these lives are usually brought to you by our practice and our Good Gut members. So our Good Gut members will put questions in. We're answering their questions first. Those are just usually our patients who are also members and get lots of perks in our practice. But today we have a sponsor. Today is sponsored by Amy's Kitchen. So thank you,
Mhm.
Amy's Kitchen. And again, we are not biased towards Amy's Kitchen whatsoever. We usually partner with brands that we actually use and actually feel are good for our patients and our community. So thank you to Amy's Kitchen. Boom, this is one of their soups here. Amy's. So you guys will see Amy's at your local grocery store. You can buy them online as well. Thank you, Amy's Kitchen, for sponsoring this Good Gut Live. So we're excited to get into it and answer your questions. So if you're watching this live, we'll be answering your questions live, whether it's on something we're talking about, or if you're like, hey, I have a gut question, So we're going to be answering your questions. So go ahead and pop those in if you're popping in. And this will be recorded later. So if you pop in a question and you got to take off, you can watch this recording later on Facebook, on YouTube, and even Twitch and Twitter.
And
So
Instagram. We'll save it to
Instagram.
we'll save it to our feed.
Yes. All right. I'm already seeing some questions come in, but I want to get to some examples because I think that's why a lot of people are here. Like, okay, if we're gonna go for convenient foods, right? What are we going to pick? Like, what are we going to do? And these are days because, as you all know, we run our private practice. We do a lot. We're working a lot, but we also find that balance between family, between fun, between the weekend, exercise. It's all a balance at the end of the day. So with that, we're not always cooking from scratch every day. We've had past lives where we talk about batch cooking and other great tips like that. Go back and watch those. Today we're focused on just convenient foods. So if we are pulling convenient foods from the fridge that are processed and pre-packaged, what are we doing? And I think maybe we touch on the frozen aspect first, because frozen foods can be healthy foods.
Mm-hmm.
Those are excellent. Frozen foods, like let's say a chopped spinach, are excellent. I mean, because they're usually flash frozen, right? So usually they're coming off the farm and they're flash frozen and they're packaged right away. So you're not getting that lag time of other imported foods. You're not getting that lag time of shipping and handling and processing. So it's very, very cool in a sense that they are flash freezing, meaning that it's capturing those phytonutrients, it's capturing those vitamins and minerals as soon as it's picked, because we all know oxidation. We all know these foods are being broken down as soon as they are cut from the vine or the tree or whatever the food is, and then it's being shipped to you.
And our degree is in human nutrition and food science. Yeah. So in college, we got to learn about both. Yeah. And we got to do things like take field trips to a food processing plant. So one of these giant food processors who sends their produce to various stores and restaurants and establishments. We got to see the behind the scenes, and we were pretty surprised to see they actually will pick things very often before they're ripe. So they have not had the chance to completely ripen, completely mature in their nutrition. They will store them in these rooms to keep them unripened, and they'll spray a gas on them so that way they don't ripen. And then when they're ready to start shipping them out and sending them to whoever is going to be distributing these foods, they'll then ripen them with something like an ethylene gas. And that's a naturally occurring gas in food, but it's not a natural process, right? They're keeping them unripened for a lot longer. They're very, very rapidly ripening them. And then who knows how long those foods have been sitting there in the grocery store. The comment that I've always heard is, oh man, once you eat farmer's market strawberries or farmer's market produce, you can taste the difference. And that difference is very clear because a lot of times at the farmer's market, they are picking that morning at 3 a.m. and then bringing it to that 8 a.m. farmer's market. They've picked it the day before. So they're picking it at peak ripeness and then they're bringing it over to you. Great. You may say, I don't have farmer's markets near me, so that's not accessible. We don't all live in California. Buy frozen, because they also are picking it at peak freshness, peak ripeness, and then they're freezing it. I will say one caveat to that, and I guess one downside to buying frozen is the packaging. So yes, you are going to get a lot more plastic when you're doing this, but it will retain nutrients, and it's a good gut way to get in more produce. Because as I was saying, sometimes people can't tolerate all the fiber that's in different things. Think of kale, think of things that are very rough. There's different levels of tolerance to fiber. So if you're soaking things, freezing things, cooking things, blending things, pressure cooking things, all those methods are basically pre-digesting or pre-breaking down the fiber for you, making it more likely that you can digest it well. We do know a lot of people who have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, any type of dysbiosis, or even IBS can often have leaky gut. And when somebody has leaky gut, they might not be producing enough digestive enzymes. And so when you're pre-digesting things and you're using these assistants, these aids to help you digest, that can make it easier for you to eat and digest. So We're huge fans of frozen.
Yes.
And again, like I said, someone washed this broccoli and cut this broccoli. So that saved me those 5 minutes that I just really needed sometimes. Or sometimes we'll do it ourselves, right? We
Yeah.
overbuy broccoli at the farmer's market and we're like, oh, we're going out of town on Monday. We have broccoli in the fridge. We're not going to eat it. So we'll cut it up and we'll put it in silicone bags ourselves. So that could also be an eco-friendly way you're doing that.
Yeah, there's levels to this, guys. Obviously, one of the quickest fast foods are fresh foods like a banana,
Mm-hmm.
and you just peel it and eat it on the go. But when we're talking about more of a balance, when we're talking about, balancing the meal and getting the protein and carbs and healthy complex carbohydrates and healthy fats, there are other ways to do that, and there's levels to that. For the most part, we do overbuy at the farmers market. We freeze our own strawberries, we freeze our own broccoli, we freeze our own kale. We have frozen kale in the fridge as well as in a silicone bag. But there are times we do buy some of the plastic bags and we just make it work, right? It's about balance. That is a few and far between. And we're excited to also really urge companies to choose better options than plastic, right? There are some biodynamic packaging coming out with
Mm-hmm.
some brands leaning more towards that. And basically what that means is those forms of packaging are just made of biodegradable and what do I want to say, materials that can then be healthier for the environment. So that is
Yeah.
coming out the more we kind of push for it and vote with our dollar and make that aware in our consciousness as a community. So
And I love what Stacy, if you guys don't follow Stacy at the Urban Pharmacy, follow Stacy. She's an amazing educator. She has her Holistic Mama Society. But Stacy's giving us a good tip. When buying frozen produce, get it in bulk. It uses less plastic. Love that.
mhm,
So a lot of the times, box stores or even regular stores will sell these things in larger sizes. So that way
mhm.
you can decrease the amount of plastic that you're using. If that's something that you're concerned about, we all should be. But that can also help save, right? Usually when you're buying a bigger package, it's more affordable. So that can be a great tip. Thanks, Stacey. I
Yes.
love it. Let's see if there are any relevant questions. We see there's other SIBO IBS questions that we're getting. We'll write them down and answer
Love
them during a
to.
SIBO IBS live. But we want to answer any relevant questions and we'll keep showing you guys what are some of the convenience foods that we love. This is, I would say, relevant to this. What is the one thing I should take on a daily basis for the gut?
Hmm.
Fiber.
Yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, like all of this, guys, all of what we're going to show you right now too, we have some cool examples. A lot of it is just including more plants. That's why we are plant-based. That's why we're always trying to help, and our mission is to include and better tolerate more plant foods. Because really, we were just at a microbiome conference recently in Huntington Beach,
Mhm.
and all the researchers from all around the world and all these brilliant researchers and doctors are going, eat more fiber, eat more prebiotics. I mean, the research is amazing and more is coming out. But then you have people down here who are like, my gut hurts, and when I eat those
Mhm.
foods I feel terrible. So really, our mission in our practice and with all of our dietitians is really going, okay, we want to bridge the gap between we know what to do, but then how do we actually do it? That is our goal.
Mhm.
And if we had to say one thing, it's eating fiber. But then many of you, like the thousands of our patients, come to us going like, okay, I know I should eat more fiber, but when I do, I feel XYZ, right? So,
So maybe you need to find the right type of fiber because the
right.
recommendations still hold for somebody who has SIBO or IBS. So even if you have SIBO or IBS, females, you should still be trying to get in 28 grams or more, hopefully more, of fiber per day. Males should try to be getting in 35 grams of fiber per day. Those are the recommendations from the USDA guidelines. More than that is preferable if you can tolerate it.
Mhm.
And that might depend what type of fiber you can tolerate. Maybe you're not tolerating high FODMAP vegetables. So for you, maybe you're
Crunchy.
like, I cannot eat this frozen broccoli. Even if it's frozen, it's easier to digest. Broccoli kills my gut. You should
Mhm.
explore why. Is it because it's sulfury and maybe you have an overabundance of sulfate reducing bacteria in your gut and you just can't handle cruciferous vegetables right now? If that's the case, there are tons of others that are lower in sulfur. Concentrate on carrots, concentrate on zucchini. You eat lettuce, eat celery, eat others that are low in sulfur. Maybe you're saying, I can't tolerate FODMAPs. Eating celery would kill me. Okay, concentrate on some of the other ones that are low FODMAP. It's so important for you to identify your root so that you're not just avoiding fiber as a whole because SIBO, IBS, SIFO or not, we should all definitely still be getting in that fiber to feed our good gut bugs, or else we're kind of just giving into this overabundance of opportunistic inflammatory gut bugs that take over. 97% of Americans are not getting enough fiber, and I know that number is much higher in the SIBO IBS population, because a lot of times they'll tell me fiber hurts my gut, so I just don't eat much fiber. I feel my best when I'm eating a low fiber diet. And sure, temporarily you might feel better doing that, but long term it will only further damage your microbiome. So still get in your fiber, but figure out what type of fiber works for you, whether that's low histamine fiber, low sulfur fiber, low FODMAP fiber. Maybe it's none of those and it's really just broken down fiber. So that can still be present in convenience foods.
Love it. Do you want to do another example, or do you want to go to a
let's
question?
share an example.
Okay. So one of our tips, guys, is really important. For example, if you're looking at a frozen product like this Amy's Kitchen enchilada, when you're looking at that, you want to look at the nutrition facts. When you're looking at
first you want to look at the ingredients.
Yeah, you can look at the ingredients. The ingredients here, I'll read them: filtered water, organic rice, organic pinto beans, organic corn tortilla, and we have organic tomato puree, organic corn, organic onions, organic zucchini, organic bell pepper, organic tofu, organic soybeans, organic black beans, and we're looking at organic sweet rice flour, spices, sea salt, organic tapioca, olives, organic garlic, organic green chives. Pretty cool. Compared to other frozen food products, compared to other prepackaged products. You heard me say organic a lot. We love that. And again, we did a whole nother live on organic as well, but very, very great to choose organic when and if you can. So the ingredients are a go. Like, that's a thumbs up for us. Now, the next thing you can look at, and what we like to do to just easily know this is a whole food product that we would recommend, is looking at the total carbohydrates to fiber. And all you're going to do some simple, like, third grade or second grade math.
That's not second grade math. That's like a fifth grade
Okay,
math,
third or fourth grade math. You're just going to divide the total carbohydrates by the fiber, and that's it. And typically, if it's under 10, good. If it's under 5, great. Okay. And even if there is a product that maybe isn't, like, sometimes the Amy soups are like even better. They're like a 3. They're way below a 5. There are 4 or 3. Like this soup, this is one of our favorites. This is the French country vegetable, where it's like the ingredients are great. The carb to fiber ratio is excellent. So you're getting whole food ingredients in this soup, and it's BPA free, all of those great things. Boom, it's on point. Sometimes, like with the enchiladas, if you want to enhance it a little bit more.
Because just looking at the carb to fiber, there's 57 grams of carb, 7 grams of fiber.
Right.
So that's like an 8.
Right.
Still good, right?
Still good.
If you're going on the good, better, best, still good. But if you want to make it best, then what you can do is grab one of those other convenience foods.
Right.
So with the enchiladas, I probably would throw in, let's say, broccoli, or you could do spinach. So right now we're taking that 57 and we're adding 4 more grams of carb per serving. So we're at 61. And we're adding to the 7 grams of fiber, 3 more grams of fiber. So 61 divided by 10, we're at like a 6. Great. All right. Like, we're getting closer to there. And again, these things are quick, easy, convenient, and pretty affordable. Like this combined is about $7.50. So this could be a great quick option. And this is often what we're eating when we're busy. And we have been, actually. We remember, even when James and I met 14 years ago in college, we used to buy Amy's and we would just throw in an Amy's with some veggies. And one little tip we like to give is we like to put it in a glass container. So we try to avoid heating up plastic, because we're mindful of what goes in, on, and around our food. So we'll put it in a glass container and we'll heat it up, or we'll heat it up in one of our stainless steel pots and pans, or a ceramic, or 100% ceramic, or one of our cast iron. So little good gut tip there. So right there, you said, okay, this is good, but maybe it would spike my blood sugar more than I would want it to on its own. So let me pair it with something. So I get that extra fiber again, and it's easy, quick, affordable. This is more affordable than going out to eat, and it's faster than going out to eat. You don't have to get in your car order your food, sit there and eat it, drive back home. This is just a few minutes. So one of our favorite tips, and this is one of our favorite meals too, the enchilada. That's really good.
Really like it. Yeah, the flavor on that is excellent.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, so looking at the ingredients, carb to fiber ratio, and then pairings. Those are 3 amazing tips. And then the bonus to that is going, wow, this is less money than going out to eat, even with fast food. This
Mhm.
is our fast food. We're giving you the hacks to our fast food here.
And this kind of addresses this question as well.
Mm.
Would you recommend a plant-free protein like an Impossible Burger, a plant-based protein, I'm guessing, to your patients? I enjoy a plant-heavy diet. Sometimes I have a hard time getting my protein in. So say we're going with this meal right here. This has 12 grams of protein in it. This has 2. So 14 grams of protein, good. We could make it better for sure. So maybe you have a can of beans and you're adding some more beans to this. Or maybe you're adding a frozen veggie burger to it. There's a couple that we really like. Amy's has black bean burgers. So if you wanted to add in an Amy's, whole food ingredients are in them. And that's another 8 to 10 grams of protein. There's also a couple others that we like. One is called Noble, no Bull, and they're veggie burgers that are frozen. Or there's another one that's actual veggies, and that's what it's called. It's called actual veggies burger. So again, if you're wanting to up that protein, 8 to 10 more grams of protein, throw that in as well. It's more satisfying that way. You get more protein, and then keep upping your veggies, because if we added broccoli and spinach, this is another 2 grams of protein right here. So love these questions. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. You're just saying, this is quick, tasty, convenient, and then I'm upgrading. We like to think of it as an upgrade. So it becomes easier. It doesn't become overwhelming, and it just becomes part of your natural life, where you're saying, even if I'm picking something up like this, even if I'm ordering fast food, I will still order or add my fiber to it.
Yes. Beautiful. Great question.
I love
your
it.
questions, guys.
Let's show another example of something quick. Maybe we'll show a snack.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this is something, you guys, for me, I see patients 3 days a week. So because I don't see patients 5 days a week, my patients are back to back to back. So I sometimes am talking for 6 hours straight. And if I'm hungry, because I talk to my patients and I walk on a treadmill a lot of times when I'm talking, I can get hungry, right? I'm using a lot of my glycogen, my stored up carbohydrates in my brain, my glucose in my brain. I'm moving my muscles in my body. So I get hungry. So I love these little chia pouches for an in-between patient snack. They're quick to eat. They're a really great quick carbohydrate, and they have a tiny bit of protein in them. So this has 10 grams. Well, first the ingredients: organic chia seeds, organic banana puree, organic apple concentrate, strawberry puree, beet puree, citric acid, just to preserve it. 10 grams of carb, 3 grams of fiber. So this is like a 3.5, almost 3.3. And there's a couple grams of protein in here. And these are a great snack. So this is something I keep at my desk. I keep them in my little purse, because if we're out and about, this is just quick and easy. I feel like adults see these and they get turned off by them, because they're like, well, that's for kids. Why? Why not for us?
Not the chia ones, like the chia ones with other veggies and whole fruits in there.
They have
like
a
really
green
cool.
spirulina one that I really like. And they have other pouches too. I've gotten some of these other brands that have peanut butter in them, or brown rice protein powder in them. Those ones have close to like 10, 15 grams of protein. So don't discount pouches, you guys. These are great for adults too. If you're just looking for something quick, convenient, a plain snack. If you're an athlete and you are doing long distance workouts, if you want something like that, go for a cool pouch.
Yes. And guys, look, I'll be honest too. It took me a while, like with Layla and Dahlia doing pouches. I was like, guys, the plastic, but there's great programs out there. Shout out to TerraCycle, who helps to repurpose and recycle pouches and different items, even with food packaging. So if you guys will look sometimes on the logo on the product itself, it'll have the TerraCycle logo, and TerraCycle will recycle it. So that's really, really cool. And it's not just recycling, like what happens to it, where does it go? They actually make other items, and you can see it and you can follow it on their website. So really cool. And again, for the most part, I'm making maybe Delia a smoothie. If she's in a pinch and she's like, I have patients back to
Yeah.
back, and she'll like text me and type, James, can you make me a smoothie? And I'll make her a smoothie. So again, these are like, you're in a pinch, and we know families are all on a spectrum, and everyone's on a spectrum of how busy and how not busy you are. So these are just ideas that we'll use on a spectrum. So for the most part, we're using package-free whole foods, but we're going to be real. We use convenient food products, like, and we would rather all of you choose and opt for just really good quality, so these companies then make more really great quality products. It makes sense.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I love this. Someone saying, Raina's saying, I read all nutrition labels because of you. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you, Raina. And someone's asking for clarification. Can someone
Yeah,
repeat what we have to subtract from what? So, what you're going to do is take total carbs, divide by total fiber,
if I could
because
show.
underneath the carbohydrate section in the label is fiber and
Mhm.
natural sugar and added sugar, because those are all types of carbohydrates. So there's sugar that naturally occurs in foods. They can add added and refined sugar. So that's more of an ultra processed food when they do that. And there's fiber. There should be fiber in everything you're buying. So you're going to take total number of carbohydrates,
Let's see
and
if
you're
you guys
going to,
can see it.
per serving. Nope, that's
No,
blurry.
I think it's blurry.
And you're going to divide that by
Sorry.
total number of grams of fiber. So again, the soup, for example, per serving, which is a cup, you're getting 28 grams of fiber. Of carb, 28 grams of carbohydrate per serving, and 7 grams of fiber. So
So
you
you're gonna
divide that
divide by the 7.
28 divided by 7. So you get 4.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
guy, and we don't expect, or go ahead.
And remember, 5 or below is great, 10 or below is good. So we try to go for great as often as possible. So again, this one's great. This has a great carb to fiber ratio. So this is going to feed your good gut buggies really easily itself. I still add extra veggies to these soups. So I would still be throwing in spinach from the fridge, kale, something frozen.
And we do these videos. There's a recent video up on our Instagram right now on exactly how to do this, because it comes up, the questions come up so often, and a lot of people aren't aware of this simple hack and this tip where you can easily just do some simple math and really understand a product better. So it's on our Instagram. We have handouts for our patients. So if you're one of our patients and it's like, oh, I want to see that handout, we can show you that. We'll have blogs coming up, and then we'll have courses coming up for kids
Mm,
and families. So we're really excited
yes.
about that, and where we can walk you through a lot of these great tips with great foods. For right now, you can also go to our shop page at marriedhealth.com and grab our free good gut. Our good gut guide, so our good gut shopping guide, which will show you a
Hmm.
lot of these products,
Yeah, a lot of these
and
foods
you
are
can
in
grab
there.
our good gut shopping guide. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
This is a great question.
Is the carb to fiber calculation the same as net carbs?
No.
No, it is not. So net carbs is just like when you have gross income, like this is how much I get paid. All right. And then net income is when you take out all the taxes and insurance and
So
everything you
that's what
pay
you're
for.
taking home.
Right. So that's it. So net carbs is technically what you're taking home. Net carbs is subtracting the fiber. And sometimes products are sneaky. They'll put sugar alcohols and not include that. So they're going net carbs is only 2, but in reality, the total carbs are maybe like 15 or 20, right?
And I think for a long time, net carbs was something that was big with those with diabetes, because we were
Hmm.
teaching back in our day when we were in school, we were taught teach diabetic patients carbohydrate counting.
Right.
We're not doing that anymore. We don't care how many
We don't
carbs you're
subscribe to that.
eating. We want to see you eat more fiber. We want to see you have more protein in your meals. We want to see you have less saturated fat in your meals so you have better response to those carbohydrates. It's not just how many carbs you're eating, it's about the fat and the protein, the fiber and the protein paired with
Hmm.
those carbs, so it doesn't make your blood sugar spike and go crazy. Because even something with a low net carb, maybe it has 20 grams of carbohydrate in it, and they added a bunch of inulin fiber because it's just a cheap and easy fiber to add to food products. So that brought it down to 5 net carbs.
Hmm.
Um, but that might make you really bloated, or that might not necessarily make you feel your best. Or yeah, maybe it has um,
Sugar
add
alcohols.
sugar alcohols so that it has less net carbs, but that's not necessarily good for your microbiome or good for your blood sugar long term. So we're definitely moving away from counting those net carbs. And now we're looking at what's the carb to fiber ratio? How much of these carbohydrates are coming from fiber?
And on that note, guys, as you know, in Married to Health, all of our dietitians take a gut focus. Besides
Mhm.
Dahlia and Rachel, who are SIBO IBS and really complicated GI dietitians, everyone else takes a gut focus, meaning we don't really care if a
Yeah.
product is like, oh, great, the nutrition facts look great, but then if it has sugar alcohols or sucralose, like artificial sugars, or if it has tons of emulsifiers, we're going to tell our patients, hey, these things are over time going to wreak havoc on your gut microbiome. They can contribute and be a factor in your dysbiosis. So great, your blood sugar is looking great, but then your microbiome isn't. And usually it's only a matter of time as your microbiome is not great, it starts to affect your blood
Mhm.
sugar. Even if you're drinking Coke Zeros or, all that sucralose and emulsifiers and sugar alcohols, like those things aren't great, and they may make the nutrition facts look better, but again, that's why Dahlia mentioned, look at the ingredients, then let's do the
Mhm.
carb to fiber ratio. Those are two huge things that'll help you understand if a product is truly healthy or not.
And that'll help with your gut, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your energy, your satiety with that meal, so many things. So, those are two, I would say, of the most important things to be
Mhm.
mindful of. And we know all of you are different, right? So, a lot of you are asking different questions that pertain to you. Someone
Yeah.
said, I bet those two things you just showed are super high in sodium. That's an interesting point to make. Not
Mhm.
everyone needs to be on a low sodium diet, right? We
Right.
all need a certain amount of sodium in our diet. However, some of you might have been asked by your care team to reduce your sodium. Maybe you have high blood pressure, or maybe you have metabolic disease, and your care team's recommending that you should keep your sodium lower than the 2,400 milligrams, which is about a teaspoon a day. Maybe your care team's suggesting that. Even if you are going to do something like this has 720 milligrams. So this is your sodium, a quarter of your sodium for the day, not even a little bit less than that. And then you're stretching that out more if you're adding veggies. One cool thing about Amy's, though, is they do sell low sodium products.
Right.
So you can get the enchiladas low sodium. They have a lot of
Soups.
low sodium soups. We don't buy low sodium products because we're not worried about our sodium intake.
And this is where I love this question because
Yeah.
context matters, right? Because when you're consuming fiber, you're typically doing that with whole plant foods. For example, we have the banana here. It's perfect because potassium and
Mm.
other electrolytes, which are essentially minerals, balance out your sodium. It is because of the alarming data and research that we're finding where majority of Americans are not eating enough fiber. That can translate to majority of Americans are not eating enough electrolytes and trace minerals. So
Mhm.
then when majority of Americans are eating hyper refined processed foods like french fries and burgers and other canned products or packaged products that are hyper
Added
refined
sugars.
with insane amounts of sodium, if you're not balancing that out with whole plant foods, your sodium levels will become out of whack. On top of that, you have different microbiomes across the body. You have a blood microbiome, you have a lung microbiome, you have a kidney microbiome, and those will get out of whack. So then your inability to balance your microbes and your sodium and your electrolytes translates into I have high blood pressure. Let me take this pill. Oh, I have diabetes. I have to take metformin, et cetera, right? It really comes down to the foundation of what are you eating, right? And how are you
Mhm.
balancing what you're eating? That's where we don't really fear sodium. And a lot of the latest research really backs that up. Again, context, we're not your care team. This is not medical advice. Everyone's unique and different, but that is important context.
I think another beside food tip to add in with sodium is, are you sweating? Are you getting sodium
Mm,
out that way? So that can be a great strategy to lower your blood pressure, where then you're not worried about every little milligram of sodium you're intaking. Like we
right.
said, some of you might need to be. Your care team might have recommended that for you, but that's definitely the exception, not the norm for people. If you're not eating ultra processed foods, again, there's a difference between processed foods and ultra hyper refined processed foods. For the most part, these things are pretty sodium balanced and
Mhm.
pretty sodium controlled.
I like this question. I mean, where can I find some of these items? Or I want to answer more questions too. But
Mhm.
so yeah, this popped up. Where can I find some of these items, guys? We went
Yeah.
to Ralph's. We shop at
Yeah.
Whole Foods. We shop at
I've seen
Mother's.
these at Target.
We go to Target. So yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes
You can find
with
them at
Amy's.
probably, any of your local stores.
Online, if you're more crunchy, Thrive Market. If you're not, I mean, they're at Walmart. I mean, if not to categorize people, but but like Thrive, and then Walmart online. So if you're shopping online, if you're shopping in store, it's there. So yeah, whether it's
Mhm.
frozen foods or Amy's or a lot of these high quality products, a lot
Yeah.
of products in our Good Gut shopping guide are online and in store. So
Mhm. So, and that's a free guide that we have on our website. So if you're curious to see what do we have in our home, what is Married to Health buying when they go to the grocery store, check out that guide. Because again, we would never, ever, ever recommend anything to you all that we're not buying and eating ourselves. So
right.
you can have that information there.
More questions? I
Yeah,
love your guys'
this was
questions.
this was a great
Oh,
question that came in. What's good to eat during a SIBO flare up?
ooh.
Ooh, so
So this dives deeper into where you all are individuals and you all have individual needs. And this is definitely Dahlia's specialty. So this is with SIBO and IBS. What should you eat if you're in a SIBO flare-up? Are you going to eat these convenient foods?
maybe it just depends what type of SIBO you have and what the status of your SIBO is. So, were you newly diagnosed and you have 5 times the level of hydrogen sulfide gas, methane gas, hydrogen gas? Were you diagnosed with small intestinal fungal overgrowth? That definitely depends because that will dictate what you're eating, right? I usually will recommend to my fungal overgrowth patients to try to follow a lower histamine way of eating. I will recommend to my hydrogen sulfide patients probably don't eat too much sulfur at once in one single meal. Try to spread out high sulfur foods. To my methane SIBO patients, I will recommend going more low FODMAP. So it really is just going to depend on what type of SIBO you have and how under control it is. But definitely you could incorporate some of these things. For example, if you are low FODMAP, eat frozen edamame. You could definitely do that. You could do a cup of frozen edamame, which is a great protein source. A whole cup is going to give you 14 grams of protein. There's great carbs, there's great fiber. And you could probably do some of these different soups. I would imagine that Thai coconut tom yum soup, that would be perfectly fine. Because honestly, when you're in a SIBO flare, you probably don't want to cook either. So something like this, again, I'd have to just double check the garlic and the onions in there. But that could possibly be perfectly good option for you. So do things that are easier to digest. Frozen is a very great help because again, somebody kind of pre-digested it for you. It's less work on your gut when your gut's trying to heal.
Ooh, I saw another good question.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good questions, guys. This is great. Let's see. We're gonna look for others. Oh,
Right there.
right here.
Ooh, we got a question about the banana that we showed.
Oh, do bananas spike your blood sugar too high if you eat them alone?
I have to address this, you guys, because I know a lot of you nowadays are seeing influencers and other people wear continuous glucose monitors and showing that spiked my blood sugar. I want to clear this up. It's normal for your blood sugar to go up after you've eaten, right?
Mm.
It's normal when you eat carbohydrates for your blood sugar to go up a little bit. You do not want to have an outlandish, outrageous, extremely high spike, sure, but it's not reasonable for you to expect your body not to spike at all. With something that's more carbohydrate dense, that really does not contain protein and fat, but does contain some fiber to slow down that spike, like a banana, pair this with more fiber, more fat. So
Mhm.
this morning I ate a banana and I paired it with a high fiber, high protein bar. And so for me, that decreased the spike of my blood sugar. This bar has 7 grams of fiber. And so this blunted my blood sugar spike, and it has protein in it as well. It has 8 grams of protein in it. So I wasn't worried about that blood sugar spike. And I had just worked out. So my blood sugar was probably on the lower end. I did a fasted workout. So context matters with that. But if you're worried about it, pair a veggie, right? Grab a cucumber. It doesn't have to be like a chopped up charcuterie board. Oftentimes when I'm running out of the house, if I'm grabbing a banana, I'll grab a whole entire carrot. I'll grab a whole cucumber. I don't care if it's cut or not. And then I'll grab some trail mix. You can grab some nuts with you. And that's a great pairing right there. You got your fat, your protein, you got some fiber,
Some
and
omega
nice
3s.
carbs. Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, context matters, guys. If you've been following us for a while, we say that over and over again, so we love it.
Mm-hmm. But don't fear foods that have carbohydrates. Again, it's okay if your blood sugar goes up a little bit, especially when it's a whole food like that and it's not an ultra processed, hyper refined food.
Mm-hmm. What do you want to see? I kind of like that. I mean, I think a lot of people relate to that question.
Great question.
What do you have any recommendations for flavored coffee creamers or syrups?
Ooh.
So I think a lot of you out there drink coffee or tea and you're using, I mean, there's so many different types of flavors, and this one's around the holidays, it's pumpkin spice and all these different flavors. I would urge you all to read those ingredients, look at the nutrition facts. And if you're like, I don't know about that, then rethink that creamer and that syrup.
I think one major ingredient that I see in syrups and creamers is emulsifiers, binders and emulsifiers, because a lot of the times they're creamers, they're creamy. And in order for them to make your coffee creamy without separating out of it, they've added a binder or an emulsifier. If this is something naturally occurring, like lecithin, which is naturally occurring in soy, it's naturally occurring in sunflowers. Lecithin is a naturally occurring substance. So if that's in there, okay, fine. And again, this is a handout we give to our patients or our Good Gut members. But if it's something like synthetic carrageenan, if it's some type of synthetic gum, those things do bind. Again, they bind what's creamy, what's fatty to water, so they can also bind to some of your gut bugs. Whether they're good gut bugs or not, they can bind to them. And many studies have actually shown that these binders or emulsifiers can induce dysbiosis, can induce imbalance in your gut. So with creamers and flavorings for your coffee or your tea, that's something I'd encourage you all to look at. One thing I like to recommend is use coconut milk or use oat milk that doesn't have binders or emulsifiers in it. I really like Joy brand, JOI, because it's just like organic oats, organic cashews, organic almonds, whatever it is. And then use an extract drop. So you could use chocolate extract, cinnamon extract, use cinnamon, use a peppermint extract. Those flavorings can also add a little bit of an
I know for
additional
me, when I want like a
pizzazz.
sweet tea, I'm not really a big coffee drinker, but I'll do like a herbal tea or like a herbal coffee tea. That's like a coffee replacement. I love to just add soy milk and a date and blend it up, and that is amazing. A frothy kind of sweet, and then if you throw cinnamon in there, well, it's amazing. So I love that, and it's so simple and quick to make, and you can even make it in a large batch if you're drinking tea or coffee every day, and I guarantee it won't last a week because it's so delicious. So way better and way probably cheaper. I mean, I think a date and some soy milk versus buying the creamers all the time, it'll probably save you some money for sure.
And save your gut.
And save your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, lots of great questions coming in. Love it. What do you think next?
Do you recommend to continue eating fruit when experiencing chronic candida yeast infections? Again, I do. I do recommend to continue to eat fruit because you don't want to eliminate antioxidants when your body is already struggling. So, an overabundance of candida yeast, usually is going to elicit a lot of inflammation in your gut. If you're cutting out fruit, you're cutting out a majority of an essential nutrient, vitamin C. So I don't recommend that people go on these really strict candida diets. I know that was really popular before. There's no data to show that those are effective. What I do recommend to my patients is, one, treat your candida. So either ask your care team for a prescription antifungal or use some type of antifungal nutraceutical if it's warranted. Add healthy bacteria that acidifies your gut back. That's really why most people, if it's not from inoculation from something like mold or some type of external exposure of some type of mycotoxin or fungus or yeast, it's usually because you don't have enough healthy bacteria to prevent opportunistic inflammatory gut bugs like yeast or even sulfate reducing bacteria from overgrowing. So with my patients, sometimes we'll do a little bit of work to bring down the candida, and then we'll weigh up their probiotics that they can tolerate of lactic acid and other acidifying bacteria, and that helps keep it in check. That can be a game changer for people. But I don't recommend cutting out fruit and carbohydrates and starches, because you're only further decreasing the healthy gut bugs that would help you keep that yeast under control.
Right.
Really, the only foods that I suggest my patients are mindful of is histamines, if the histamines are bothering them, because a lot of the times the yeast is making excess histamine. Not everybody, though, with yeast experiences that, but if that's the case, do that. Decrease your histamine a bit. And then don't eat more yeast. So try to avoid yeast in breads or nutritional
Nutritional yeast.
yeast,
I love
or
nutritional
I
yeast.
know, but you don't have candida.
I don't have candida.
Try not to have yeast extract that's in some spices. Try not to eat mushrooms because they're a fungus. So if you already have too much yeast or fungus, you probably don't want to add more yeast and fungus, but you do want to eat healthy carbohydrates.
And on that note, I mean, this goes back to the difference between processed and hyper processed. So, this is where eating fruit is not the same as eating hyper processed fruit product, like a fruit
Mhm.
candy or or even fruit juice. Not that that is hyper processed, but it's very different to eat a banana versus some type of banana beverage that you're finding in the supermarket that's full of cane sugar and banana flavoring, et cetera, et cetera. Which goes into a cool question I'm seeing. What is your opinion on natural flavors? And this can vary from company to company. Typically, what I recommend is the certified organic label and the non GMO project verified will typically cover you in the natural flavors department, where you're not getting synthetic or altered natural colors and natural flavoring that can have harmful effects. This kind of goes more to the gut brain connection, where some of the research is going and finding some issues in that area with natural flavors, because a lot of food companies get away with the term natural flavors, and it's an umbrella for a ton of other ingredients that they're just not disclosing to you. So, long story short, certified organic and non GMO project verified are two labels that will help to eliminate a lot of the yuckiness in natural flavors. So, very, very important to, yeah, be mindful of natural flavors. They're not just like natural flavors. I'm going to trust this food company that's telling me, hey, don't worry about these flavors. They're natural. Don't worry about it. Like, no, you should know. If you reach out to the company, they'll tell you. A red flag is if you reach out to a company and they don't want to tell you, that's a red flag that you should find a different product for sure. So very cool. I love it, guys. These are great. Let's see. I'm seeing some other question. How about sourdough bread? Yeah, sourdough bread made from natural yeast. If you're in a full-blown candida overgrowth, like you have thrush, or you're having like vaginal issues, you're having SIBO, or it's SIFO, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. These are all very real things. Be mindful.
True sourdough, though, does not have yeast added to it. So if it's
Right.
truly a sourdough ferment, they use just bacteria to ferment it, and they're not adding yeast to take care of that fermentation process. So a true sourdough bread, you will not see yeast in the ingredients. There's a couple brands that we like and
Mhm.
we'll recommend to our patients that are yeast-free sourdoughs. So take a look at those. Some of them are in our Good Gut shopping guide. So if you're curious to see which some of those are, check out our guide. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole there. Yeah, because true sourdough was where you find a lot of sourdough. They are including yeast, but yeah, a properly fermented sourdough will not. But a lot of the store brand, kind of run of the mill sourdoughs will. So yeah, very good
And
question.
and again, context matters, just like James has been saying. So if you don't have fungal overgrowth
Yeah.
and you don't have candida overgrowth, you don't need to avoid yeast. Eat yeast. It's a naturally occurring part of your gut microbiome, your gut flora. So if you don't
Mhm.
have that issue, you don't necessarily need to be worrying about it and avoiding yeast. So eat your nutritional yeast, eat your yeast in your bread, and enjoy your life as long as
Yes.
it's not causing symptoms for you.
And I think that's why, guys, we really wanted to put this live together, and we're happy we did, because we don't want you guys to stress out about health. Like, yes, health is important, and if you're struggling with symptoms, we want to provide resources for you, whether that's working with one of our dietitians one-on-one, our future courses coming out, handouts and e-guides, and all these are great things. But don't let yourself get too stressed about this, where you feel like you have to be perfect, where you feel like you have to cook perfectly every single day. there are some convenient foods that are helpful. There are ways and important context you should know to make your life a little bit easier. So yeah, it's very important to understand like this shouldn't be adding to your stress and decreasing your health. You want to find a way, and this happens over time, that you build up and make these positive changes, and ultimately it becomes a part of your life and it's not stressful, right? So, that's ultimately the goal, and it takes time.
And it does. I always like to share, I'm interested in gut health because I had gut issues for decades of my life.
Right.
And now to be on the other side and to be helping people is so, so, so gratifying. So I,
Right.
at one time, might have looked at these foods and thought, oh my gosh, that would kill my gut. And now I can eat all of these things and have thrived on a plant-based diet for 12 years because I've really gotten to the root of what was going on with my gut instead of just saying, well, I
Right.
have IBS, let me avoid all these foods that I love that make me feel really great. Let me not travel, let me not go out to eat. It's really important, you guys, for you not to pigeonhole yourself. I see providers even recommending this of like, hey, if you have IBS, just live with your IBS and manage your triggers. Most IBS has a root cause to it. Studies show that 14 to 70% of IBS is actually SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. If you're constantly just trying to maintain that by avoiding FODMAPs and decreasing your stress, but you actually had SIBO this whole time, you're doing yourself a disservice. So get to the root of what's
Mhm.
going on with your gut so you know how to properly nourish your gut. Again, if you're finding, I don't know why every time I eat asparagus and broccoli and cauliflower, and then plus I'm stressed, it doubles me over in pain. Yesterday, I had a patient tell me, I've had gut issues for 50 years and I use all these homeopathics and different things. And when it's really bad, I have to go on all fours because it just takes off pressure from my gut. And so, with a couple tweaks, I said, hey, I think you should be tweaking this, looking into this, trying some of these different things. And hopefully, she comes back when we follow up and she says she's feeling much better. But that's no way to live, of just feeling like you can't wear certain clothes. This patient told me, my husband and I are retired and we only plan things for the morning because by the afternoon and evening, I'm so bloated, I can't wear any of the clothes that make me feel good. So we try to do all the
Mm.
things we like in the morning before my bloating gets to me. She's been doing this for about a decade. She's been that bloated. So hopefully, you're working with a knowledgeable practitioner who's not just resolving to leave you in pain and learn how to manage your triggers, but someone who can really help you identify the root cause and give you your quality of life back. Because if that's not who your care team is, you have not found the right care team for you.
Yes.
All
I
right.
see more questions.
Someone's asking, how do I know what type of SIBO I have? So, a
Mm.
little different than our convenience foods, but a knowledgeable practitioner can test you and they can help you identify based on your test results and your symptoms you're reporting what type of SIBO you have. So, you know what types of foods, including convenience foods, you should be trying to eat. But I think we have just a couple more questions. And, we hope you guys were inspired by this to say, okay, even if something maybe is lower in fiber, or maybe if something is convenient
Yep.
and frozen, it can still be really great for my
Canned.
good gut. I can enhance it and upgrade it with some of these great additions and pair them intelligently. I can eat yummy foods that I love and I can still feel my best.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just ate one of these, you guys. I just ate one of these burritos. And this one, I will admit, this carb to fiber ratio, there's 50 grams of carb per burrito, 5 grams of fiber. So I paired it with a big salad and air fried some broccoli. And then great, great balance. Carb to fiber, got some great protein in as well. And I feel satisfied.
We do not fear carbohydrates, especially
Nope.
quality carbohydrates. So very,
Mhm.
very important. Again, context matters. We hope you guys enjoyed this Good Gut Live. It was brought to you by all of you and our amazing patients and our Good Gut members, as well as Amy's Kitchen this time. So thank you to Amy's Kitchen. If you guys like these, where we go into real products and give you some real tips and just
Yes.
answer your questions, then subscribe, comment, and like, and all that good stuff. Make sure you go to, or what's up?
Yeah, go to marytalk.com.
marytalk.com.
And for those of you asking, what was that protein bar you showed? What were these little balls that you're showing? Download our free Good Gut Guide and you'll get all of our preferred brands in there. Everything that I'm showing will be in our Good Gut Guide.
Good Gut shopping guide. So it's all
Mhm.
there, marytalk.com. And as always, we want you all to heal with each meal. We want to all thrive, and we'll see you for our next Good Gut Live. All right. Bye, everybody.